Realizing I was emotionally cheated on a year and a half later? Emotional cheating over a year ago? I 26F and my GF 27F have been together for almost 4 years now, but I can't seem to get past an incident that happened with her and a coworker. For context, we dated 6 to 7 years ago very briefly, and my GF broke up with me, and her reasoning was needing to move away to work on her mental health. It was the worst heartbreak I've ever experienced. Even though we only dated for a few months, she was all I wanted. A month after breaking up, I decided I was confident enough to look at her Instagram. There were many photos of her now ex in the same apartment I was staying at with her, and she basically had a whole new girlfriend. I was even more heartbroken and angry than before because she obviously had someone else she was interested in. Fast forward 2 years, she had sent me anonymous messages on Tumblr telling me to listen to a certain song or album, and I was convinced it was a different ex-GF. Basically, she moves back to where we're from and where I live because her and her GF she left me for previously had broken up. I was in a horrible relationship at the time and was in the process of breaking up with my GF at the time, but basically everything happened really fast and we have been inseparable ever since. She let me know that she had been talking to her ex-GF for 2 weeks before initially breaking up with me, and they had a relationship before she met me, so she was just rekindling what she had with an old flame and believed it was what she wanted. We have beautiful, perfect dream relationship for 2 years. She tells me she wants to make up for breaking my heart before. This is where it starts to get crazy. She has this coworker, let's call her E, and I used to see each other at different local shows maybe 8 years ago now and followed each other on Instagram, but anytime I would see her out she would never speak to me and vice versa. My GF and I are going to a lot of shows in 2022. Her and E start developing a friendship, but when they initially met, my GF told me how he would get drunk and send texts to their coworkers and tell them she wanted them, etc., so I didn't really have a good first impression of her. Meanwhile, E is in a committed relationship with a man that also works with them. Next thing I know, in early 2022, E is inviting herself to go to shows. My GF and I voice that I do not want that, and it'd make me uncomfortable. I wasn't into making new friends or being social at the time and didn't have a good feeling about it, so my GF would politely decline, I think. Summer of 2022, E gives my GF a ring and tells her it is because it is too big for her. It had twists and a star in the middle of it. I told my GF I did not like that, and it made me even more uncomfortable. My GF keeps the ring in her nightstand. A month later, I call my GFBC. She's getting off work and it's maybe 10 minutes past the time she is supposed to be off. I ask her what she's doing and she says she's looking for a lighter. I say okay, whatever. Phone call ends. She gets home and has this black lighter with a red rose on it, and I asked her whose lighter it was and she said S, and I told her she told me she was looking for a lighter, not asking for one. She doubled down, I am being paranoid, whatever. A month later, my GF is in the shower or something and something just tells me to look at her recently deleted photos on her phone. I do, and there is a photo of E that my GF took of a photo of her on the wall at work winning a competition or something, and the other photo was just of E, normal selfie. I confronted my GF about it. She says she deleted them because she didn't want me to see them. And there wasn't really an excuse? She made a deal about me looking at her phone, and over the months had been looking over her shoulder sometimes to see what she was doing, but she would just close out of her apps and lock her phone up. And normally get frustrated with me about it. I was paranoid, but it proved to be so true. A couple months later, there is a holiday party happening for their work, and all the years I've known my GF Mason, she's told me how she will never go to one and how she hates what goes on there, etc. Day of the holiday party in January 2023, my GF texts me and tells me that her friend coworker, let's call him JS date, bailed on him, so she wants to go to the holiday party with him to make him feel better. I respond to her and say sure, going for J, accidentally foreshadowing everything that happens after this. My GF agrees that I will drop her off at the party and I will meet them to go out to bars a few hours later. She tells me before we see each other and doesn't address it further that JS' friend bought a hotel room for the night so they would be pre-gaming in there. Holiday party was at a hotel. I drop her off and she's generally socially anxious, so it made sense, but I went home and got ready, and at 9 p.m. she texted me and told me they're gonna be leaving soon because it's lame AF, so I take that as my go-ahead to head downtown to meet her and her coworkers out. I go to a bar down the street from the hotel and waited, and called probably 50 times, and 3 hours pass. My GF will not answer me for 3 entire hours. At this point I just want to go home and I'm stuck in the parking garage texting her, telling her to come help me out. BC, my card wasn't working, and instead of addressing not answering for 3 hours, she tells me where to pick her and J up. I somehow get out of the parking garage, pick them up, drop J off at a bar and head home with my GF. I ask her if he was at the holiday party and she said no. A few minutes go by and I ask her again if she was there and she says no again. Right when we pull into our driveway, E starts calling my GF non-stop. I ask her to answer the phone or let me answer and she refuses, and tells me that if she answers she's going to get out of the car and not talk to E in front of me. She ends up doing that, and I personally have never experienced anything like this before in any of my relationships. They talk for maybe 30 seconds, she hangs up, and I am upset and traumatized because obviously she was there at the party. My GF lets me rant and rave all night and lets me be upset at E, my GF and I have. While E is still calling her and FaceTiming her and calling her on IG, we had to turn her phone off so she would stop calling. Next morning I go to work and I'm thinking my entire 8-hour shift how I have to get on my GF's MacBook and look at their text messages because I never had before, even with how paranoid I was. I started from the top, and the first message my GF ever sent her after getting her number was, "It's your secret admirer." There's a text not too long after where my GF sends a huge paragraph telling E that the reason she can never go to shows or whatever is BC I am to blame, BC I don't really like E. I wish I could remember more details, but she was essentially warning E that I did not like her. Then we get to 5 days before the holiday party. E texts my GF, "Go to the holiday party." My GF says, "You gonna go?" E says, "I think so," and my GF says, "Okay maybe," and E offers to help my GF pay for her ticket. The texts that I type out are all from E, as either my GF deleted her side of the texts or she didn't respond at all when she started calling her after the holiday party. "Hey, you're hot, old." Selfie of her W friend and drink up to her mouth. "Hello, can I see you? Hey, GF's name. Hey, hello, I miss you. Come hang out with me." Full uncensored picture of S. "I am thinking about you. Can I come lick you RN? Where are you? I miss you. I love you. Can I make out with you? Hello, my love." My initial reaction was to just get my things and leave, but I had to confront her. I asked her if he texted her after calling her continuously the night before, and she said no. Another lie. I let her know I saw their messages and she was mortified and very upset. She basically convinced me that my paranoia is what caused her to act out this way. She is even saying that to this day. My GF was super vague, which made everything even more suspicious, and I still only know what I knew then. I am coming to Reddit because I am at a loss at what to do. Ever since this happened a year and a half ago, my GF has been in the same depressive state, just watching TikToks all day and talking to me about my feelings every couple of weeks only because I can't take it anymore. We stopped having then as well. I've never been in a relationship and gone this long without, there's been no emotional intimacy or physical intimacy, and my impression is that she gave me 2 years and gave up then and was done with proving to me she could treat me right. She lied to my face multiple times throughout this fiasco and then told me that all I can do is trust her. 2 weeks ago I basically brought all this up because I am still not over it. I worked on my insecurities and myself for so long, comforted myself and held myself throughout the entire thing because she didn't care to be there for me at all or reassure me, for an entire year and a half, and now that she's been given this ultimatum she is saying she has been blind this entire time and I am who she wants to be with forever and she loves me so much and only wants to be with me, and it's exactly how I felt when all of the stuff with her coworker happened. I would have done anything to have her stay no matter how much she was hurting me at the time because I was codependent at the time and didn't want to be alone. But now it's the exact opposite. I feel like I've been waiting around patiently for a year and a half and nothing has changed. She claims she's gonna change and put in more effort, but I've barely seen any at all. It feels like she's very comfortable with me and I've made her feel so safe, and I just feel weak and depressed and like I've been disassociating this entire time. My GF admitted to me that she was never going to tell me about the texts images he sent her and can't answer me when I ask what we would be doing now if she never told me. She admitted to me that she knows that I would never ever do anything of the sorts to her or anyone for that matter. So what am I doing? I could wait around for her to change, but I feel like I am losing myself more and more every day. My GF doesn't do much aside from work and watch TikToks. I am a very social person, or at least like to get out by myself, and I just don't know what to do. We just signed a year lease a couple of months ago and have a dog together who is super aggressive and has a lot of issues, but I also never wanted a dog. What really gets me is the 3 hours I was left unanswered and being lied to and having to find out a lot of this information by being sneaky, and wouldn't have known if I never did. They still work together, but I don't know how much they interact. I also know no one my GF works with that I would trust enough to ask about that night. My GF mentions that it's so long ago and can see how the way she reacted has affected me over this course of time, but has never communicated that to me. All I've asked for recently is for her to talk about her feelings and open up, and she claims she will and has not. We get off work and at this point I am exhausted of asking her to open up, so I am done trying and basically waiting again. I've never dealt with something like this in a relationship, and with all of the hurt and pain I experienced, it was traumatizing, and I had to take care of myself through it all and just tell myself that she loves me. I know she wants to take care of me and be with me, but she hasn't been giving me what I need for a long time now, and we had once in January 2024, but it had still been an entire year at that point with no, and the most we'd had was the weekend of that holiday party. I feel used. TLDR been W my GF almost 4 years. 2 years into our relationship she formed a friendship with her coworker that I warned her about. And I ended up finding out the coworker had sent my GFA, said I love you, etc. A year and a half later I am realizing nothing like this has ever happened to me, and I feel like a fool for staying. She has convinced me she's working on herself.